Hello, everyone. Happy winter. We're moving into the winter time, and solstice is on its way. Yalda, the time of um, looking forward to the return of the light. But until that time, we are looking at how to go into the darkness or how to go into the deep winter. And when I think about the deep winter, I not only think about darkness, but I also think about how we're really called to go inside and to reflect and to think about our past year. And there have been some really hard things this last year. And of course, being human, there's always hard things. There's blessings and there's also difficulties, um, and challenges. And so, how do we face challenges? And how do we recognize that it's a part of it, that it's a part of being alive, that we get to have challenges, and what a blessing to have challenges, even though they're very difficult. And I remember when my mentor, my Angelus Arian, who I studied with for many years and mentored with one-on-one, and who was really just such a sacred person to my life and informed my work and who I've become. And I remember when she crossed over, when she died, she crossed over, and a very close friend of mine had also crossed over, crossed over, in, I think it was within 20 days. And so I lost two two major players in my life within a month. And I remember that all I could really do was lean into it. All I could do was uh, allow myself to the grief was so immense. I remember there was a time when someone, actually one of my beloved friends, had to like take me out of my car because I was in my car crying and I couldn't get out of my car. Um, and so sometimes we go through these periods, and I talked with my mom about it. My mom, uh, I talked with her a lot during that time, but my mom said that it sounded like I was going through like a situational depression after that, but also it was healthy grief. And so I think that sometimes we need to just be in our car and we need to cry, and sometimes we need to be in our living room, and sometimes. But one of the things that happened for me during that was I just really learned how to, with the intensity and the immensity of that grief, I really learned uh, how to care for myself in a different way. And I think that when we go through these times that are so challenging and that we don't, when we don't really know what to do, there are a few things that we can do. And even if even if we don't know how uh, to access even the simplest thing, one thing we can access is our breath. Now we can pay attention to our breath, and we can put things in our wallet like phone numbers of people who love us, and we can put a little alarm on the phone that can remind us to call someone who cares about us, or we can ask our loved ones, our family members, to touch in with us when we're having a difficult time or when we're having a challenging time. Because what we know is, we know that one of the most healing things that we can experience is the power of connection. And they're finding that the more social groups that we're involved in, the more people that we're in contact with, the healthier we are, and the longer our lives, and the happier we are. The more social groups, or the more contact that we have with other people who create meaning, even if that meaning is the simplicity of a phone call, or that meaning is the simplicity of a meal that we prepare together, or even if that is someone holding us or giving us a hug, or sharing with us their own story, and their own thoughts about things. So one of the things we can make contact with is the breath. We can also like make a list of things that will be helpful to us. And so one of the things we can do is we can connect with nature and with the nurturing of nature. We can walk outdoors. We can touch a tree. One of the things that's also really powerful is to bring the outside in. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll bring, I'll bring a pine cone in, or I'll find a feather on my walk, or I will find even some here. It's winter, so sometimes just evergreen branches. My yew tree is really beautiful, and some things have berries, and so we have the opportunity to do that. And also, it's really interesting. Last night, one of my friends, excuse me, was down the street and said, "Oh, there were winter roses. There were winter roses." And so there's also the power of the winter roses and the medicine of the winter roses, and but all that grows and flies and sings and moves, all that we can hear and feel and see in the world that is loving us. So I think being able to connect with a world that is loving us and that has loved us into existence is one of the important ways that we can evoke or invoke the miracles of each moment. Another thing I think that's important is to make contact with our heartbeat. Like, we can even, something that I've done in the past is I'll just like kind of feel for my pulse, and I can actually feel my pulse, which is kind of a nice thing to do. Another thing that you can do is you can you can also touch your heart or feel your heart, feel your breath rising, your chest rising and falling. And then there are things we can do also just to support us in our experience, or through the challenge. And one of the things that's really helpful is to access our gifts and talents, or access our resources, whatever resources that we have available to us in the moment. Often we have a phone, and so one of the things that we can do is we can take pictures, we can take photos, to just kind of see or gain perspective. I mean, I hate to say this, but another lens, we can find another lens on the world or on how things are. So we can also have like little conversations with ourselves. We can write little notes to ourselves, little supportive notes. We can also, there's also some really great apps that if we have a phone, we can download some of those apps, and do meditations. We can also just be still and sit and pay attention to what we feel and hear and see, tuning in to ourselves. And we can have those conversations. And also we can, conversations and affirmation of our well-being, affirmation of what's happening in the now, that we are okay in the now. Where am I in the now? And just to really come to where we are, like, oh, no, I'm in my office now. I have the holy privilege of teaching tonight, and I'll be teaching a course. And then today I have the opportunity to talk with some students and a couple of clients that I'll see today for mentoring. And so we can look around and see, oh, well, that's what my day actually is. And oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And and so we can attend to and pay attention to the things that are really going to allow us to stay close to ourselves and to be kind to ourselves, and to face those challenges. And also, if we have some kind of a prayer practice, and how is it that I connect with the divine or with a higher power? Is it through nature? Is it through prayer? Is it through prayer ties? Is it through going to a particular place? Do I have a community, or do I have some folks that I do that with? And so we can also call on community members, and even if it's not a spiritual community, we can also have fellowship with friends. And connection is really key. Connection is really key, and connection with the people that we love and know, but also creating a kinship. And of course, a stranger is really a friend that we haven't met. And what if that were true? If we could really deeply befriend one another. And I appreciate what John O'Donohue talked about in one of his books, where he talked about, wouldn't it be interesting if we only met one or two people in a lifetime. And what would it be like if we were approaching, if we were prepared our whole lives to approach this one person? How would we approach one another? And I'm hoping that we can begin to see each other a little more clearly and to see ourselves a little more clearly in that way. But I'm just curious about some ways that you have found to face challenges and to really come home to yourself and to be able to face those challenges in a way that feels good to you. And what do you do when things are hard? How do you face and address and process those things? Whether it's grief or whether it's a challenge in our home or with our loved ones or in our work, or how do we face those challenges? So I would just be curious to hear from you in the comments below. And I wanted to close today with this Thich Nhat Hanh metta experience. And of course, it's about the breath. So breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel flesh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. Have a beautiful week. I'll look forward to talking with you next Thursday.